Heat.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Hill Heat. And I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube and Facebook for AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2 preview. We're here to discuss the huge show from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this Sunday live on pay-per-view. And we got an all-star panel here. We got a New Japan Pro Wrestling expert. We got an AEW expert. We got someone who's the hybrid of both. And we are here to discuss the huge show coming up as two of the biggest promotions in the world come together for one of the biggest shows of the year. Of course, if we're talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, gotta bring in the good brother himself, our NJPW MC of the past, present, and future here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. It's your boy, J News.
I'm back from hiatus. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let's get the show on the road. It's gonna be a long one.
You've had several weeks off since Dominion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how are you refreshed right now?
Not at all, son. My workload outside of freaking podcasting is absurd, so I'm not refreshed at all.
You're refreshed from doing this at the very least. At the very least. And of course, if we're talking about AEW, our go-to guy on all of our pay-per-view previews for AEW or ROH or shows or promotions that involve Samoa Joe, he is your boy from the Late Night Grin, from WrestlePurists. It's Joe Hulbert.
Tremendous. I gotta say, fellas, you popped me with that Schiavone video. I don't think I've been here when I've seen the Schiavone. I don't think the Schiavone video has been here when I've been here. So that was tremendous. I'm currently working the Touring World's Champion schedule. Last night on WrestlePurists, then hop straight to Late Night Grin. That was around a 6-hour block of professional wrestling conversation. I'm back here again, True Hill Heat. So it's the rest of the year candidacy this year, bro. That's what I'm shooting for. Please do email Dave Meltzer. I'm trying to take it home. So thrilled to be here as always, my friend.
You are the Forbidden Door at this point.
I've heard that. Many are saying that, yes.
Many of people are saying it. Someone else who is part of that Forbidden Door. You see him over on Wrestle Things. You hear him over at the Wrestle In on Ace Techers. He's an expert in New Japan and AEW. Check out Revolution Radio on Wrestle Things. Great review of Dynamite himself. It is NK. Welcome back, NK.
Appreciate you guys having me. What's up, people? It's your boy NK, aka the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, aka the Hood Japanese correspondent, aka the CEO, the president, the commissioner of a faction I call the Tokyo Dome Merchants, and we are here for Forbidden Door, man. So yeah, man, let's get it popping, let's get it cracking.
Yeah, so much to discuss from the show, so you know how our previews work. We're going to talk about the build, the matches, and give predictions here, but we'd love to hear from all of you. If you're with us live, we appreciate you. If you're watching on demand, we appreciate you as well. Do the smallest thing possible to show your appreciation back by dropping the thumbs up on this video. Help the algorithm and share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And if you're with us live, sound off in the live chat. Give us your predictions for AEW, NJPW, Forbidden Door. If you're watching on demand, you could do that in the comments down below. We got Joseph with it already in the chat saying hope all are well. We got Vala B here with us always for the New Japan content. He is here with us saying what up. And yes, like I said, sound off in the live chat. And if you're feeling generous, us. You can send a super chat donation, or you can hit that join button and become a member of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel for as small as $1 a month, and we will highlight your comment anytime you need it. But yes, guys, this Sunday, it's the huge show, NJPW, AEW coming together. Jay News, as a primarily fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I know you do dabble in some AEW. How excited are you for this Sunday show?
Look, man, I'll be honest about this. I was hyped when the first two matches got announced. And then as the other matches started coming in, I said to myself, okay, at least Sonata got a match, right? So I got that there. At least Sonata got a match. And then the rest of it was like, all right, the 4-man's cool for the international, championship or whatever the case is. And it was like, some of it leaves a lot to be desired. Some of it, not all of it. But then like the hype dream matches are like what's making the event for me. So I'm like, I'm at an 8 out of 10 right now for the hype, So I'll say that.
Okay, so we'll do that. Yeah, from 0 to 10, where's your hype meter for this Sunday show, Joe?
I'd say I'm an easy 9. I think. I'm very similar in the two matches that led the announcements were enough to get me pretty close to that anyway. I'm more into some of the undercard stuff personally, but I definitely get the critiques surrounding some of it for sure, absolutely. But I mean, I think this is going to be spectacular. A lot of my hype also is I think it looks better than last year's card, and last year's card was one of the best shows in recent memory, right? And so that's kind of a mathematical equation that I think spells success. So I'm very, very excited personally. I'd say I'm easily a 9.
What about you, NK?
It's weird. If I could cheat, I'd say like an 8.5 because I'm in between Jay News and Joel. But I'd say I'm closer towards an 8. I think some of like if you had asked me last week, I would have said 10. I would have, because I feel like even the Sonada and Jungle Boy match, I'm very high on that match. I know a lot of people aren't. I'm super high on that match. Tanahashi MJF, if this was 5 years ago, I'd be through the moon, but it's not. But I feel some of these undercard matches are very justified, but they don't fill me with a lot of like enthusiasm. But at the same time, we are being spoiled with like one of like the strongest double main events I've seen. We're probably going to see all year, and one of the strongest double main events we've seen in a long time. So excitement is obviously on the positive end. It's just not a perfect card. But like Joel said, if you compare this card to last year's card, it's near night and day, to be honest. There's not a match on that card that's better than the two main events that we've proposed.
Yeah, and I will say I've enjoyed the build up to this show exponentially better than last year's build up. So I would say I'm closer to Joe. So I'll give it 9 out of 10 just based on the double main event. And I feel like all the matches you're either playing into different characters or there's a story. There's a story, at least for every single match, nearly every single match that we're seeing on the card, whether it's a tournament match, whether it's a story of two different characters that are very parallel to one another in their journeys in AEW and NJPW. I feel so much more investment in this card than I did last year, and Forbidden Door was probably a top 3 out of all of wrestling show of the year. So for that, I have to give it a 9 out of 10.
I'm with you for sure. Absolutely.
We got a couple of new members of the channel in the chat. We got Vala B just became a member of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Appreciate you for that. He says, y'all know I'm an elite. So he picked the top tier to become a member of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. We also got Joseph With It, who just became a member. Appreciate both of y'all. So much love for that. Vala B agrees with Joe, saying, hell yeah, Joseph. He also says, he's also teaching people how to become members as well. I love Follow B, so helpful. He says, still waiting on Naito, Andrade, and Hiromu versus House of Black. We won't be getting Andrade on this show, unfortunately.
That's one of the parts that we're that's what I was trying to imply, because there's a lot of missing pieces, at least in my eyes, right? And for much, I'm also an AEW guy in the sense that I watch vehemently every week, not the shows, but like all the highlights, because I'm never home to watch the show live. So I'm always watching the backstage stuff, the outcomes of the matches and stuff like that. And to know that we're not gonna get Andrade on this show again because of other companies' beef, not his own company, other companies' beef. It's like, all right, we're doing this shit again. Whatever works, right? But in the sense of what Volley mentioned also, House of Black. There's no House of Black match.
Yeah,
There is no House of Black
That's
match.
surprising. Yeah.
I was like, what, how, why not? I was like, these dudes are
for sure. No tag title match, no trios title match, both surprising. I agree completely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
With you.
And once again, we're in the Forbidden Door season where there's matches that would have made this card easy 10 out of 10 for everybody if you had Mercedes Moné as the New Japan Strong Women's
Against
champion.
Tony Storm, yeah, that would have been great.
If you had Mark Davis, who was healthy, and it looked like we were leading to Aussie Open versus FTR on this card, I think that we could push either to a 9 or 10 for J News and NK if we had those two matches on this card. Am I correct?
For sure.
I'll say that for sure. But even with the women's match, kid, like they could have really done something with a Joshi or one of the girls from Stardom, right? It didn't have to be.
They really couldn't. Yeah, 100%. They couldn't. Like when I actually did a preview for the Stardom card that is on the same day, and literally everyone you would have wanted, to be on this card is on that card. So that's why I've been arguing with people because they're like, oh, you could have got one Stardom person. I'm like, no, they really couldn't.
No.
Unless you want someone that no one's ever heard of on the show. Like that would be an indictment on Stardom if you had someone that pretty much no one would know. Maybe they would become fans of them, but it would be an indictment if they couldn't even get Kyrie, who's on that card on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot that there was a Stardom show on the same day. So then I mean, from a scheduling standpoint, then it makes the most sense to not have anybody on the show. I mean, I would have figured for Willow and Tony to do a program on TV, right? Not necessarily for Forbidden Door. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right.
I guess with Willow and Tony, though, the caveat is the way they get away with it is because Willow is a New Japan champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like it's still, even though Willow is an AEW talent, she still fulfills that quota of a New Japan talent as well. In regards to Stardom, I think my hopes for like an AEW and Stardom relationship are dwindling by the day. I just think Rosie is not fond of TK because Stardom and the whole New Japan and Stardom relationship has been in the works for years, and Forbidden Door is something he would have been aware of like at least months prior. So I don't know, booking it's like there's been Stardom shows where certain talent's been left out, but this Stardom show just feels everyone, like even if you've been in catering for like the past couple months, no, you're on this show today. So I don't know. It feels quite intentional, but let me take off my tinfoil hat.
And especially when you understand, if you watch Stardom, they have a show next weekend. They literally booked back-to-back pay-per-views.
Their schedule is nuts, man.
They're nuts. Like he could have laid off this one and just done the pay-per-view next week, Midsummer Champions. But no, he wanted to put a whole nother show this week that has a 12-woman steel cage match as the main event. He had to put it on the same day as Forbidden Door. I love Joe's reaction.
What happens is, so I do the match guide every week for WrestlePurists, so I don't follow Stardom. Obviously, I try to watch the big matches, and I'll like hit someone up and be like, is there any Stardom this weekend? Yeah, there's a pay-per-view. I'm like, again? How many of these things are they running? What kind of money are people spending? This is outrageous. Every weekend there's a pay-per-view, it feels like. But I did not know there was a 12. But that's incredible. I'm going to have to watch that, actually. You might have sold me on it.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. I'm sold on it already. They got a 12-woman steel cage match. They have the semi-main event is also a steel cage match for their trios title with Julia and Mayu Iwatani in it. Like, yeah, I'm definitely, there's going to be some stuff from that show that's definitely going to be must watch. We do got a good question before we get into the matches here from Rice Man. I'll start with you, Joe. Is there anyone left off the card that you would have liked to see on it? Like the number one person or act you would have liked to see on this show?
I kind of alluded to it earlier, but for me, it's definitely FTR. I kind of think it's like, to me, it would have made sense to do the CMFTR thing on this show and do like them against a faction of some kind. I get why they didn't, they wanted to have Punk in the singles, but FTR, I loved FTR's little run in New Japan last year. It was terrific. And they really were a good fit. And so I was hoping we could get some of that. I actually was kind of hoping initially before they got the belts back, they could rematch Bishamon because I really liked they had like 10 minutes at Tokyo Dome. I thought they tore it up. So I was hoping we get the sequel to that. When they got the belts, you kind of knew that was less likely. So that's my pick personally.
Yeah, I thought it made so much sense because you don't need much of a build to that either. You could have just done it and just say Bishamon owns a victory, and they could have done the same thing that they're doing with Tony and Willow, where it's only for one title. They could say Bishamon's going after the AEW World Tag Team titles because they own a victory over FTR. I thought it would have made sense, but hey, they want to have fun with their friend Punk, and if we were going to get a 6-man, it was probably going to be CMFTR versus Bullet Club Gold and Kenta ruined that. NK,
can I get some clearance on this whole Kenta thing? Because I don't know what happened here.
Kenta vetoed having a match with CM Punk at Forbidden Door.
What a beast!
Is there a why? Is there a why? Is there an actual why to this, or is this just
There's not. And the story is he
Okay.
won't even say why himself. Apparently, is the word and. I have no choice to respect this for how insane it is, but I have no clue.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's because he doesn't want to get pinned by a movie created. That's my theory.
See, I agree, but when he's been calling out this match, did he think he's going to win this match? I guess he might. Wrestlers are nuts, but you feel like someone would have said, he's going to win that match, brother. He's he's a pretty big deal in AEW. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's what it is.
More power to Kenta. I
Yes,
mean, you've been in matches with Hikuleo for months, and you get a match with one of the biggest stars in wrestling, and you're like, no, if I can't win, if I can't get the bag, no.
So you have to respect that kind of insanity. You
I'm
have
sure.
to.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm with it. I can't knock it.
No.
Can't knock the hustle, right? NK, who's the one act or one person you would have liked to see on the card?
Definitely House of Black. There are so many teams that House of Black could have gone up against. I would have loved to see even that you could do. Obviously, Bullet Club are doing their thing right now. You could have done House of Black between any variation of LIJ. You could have done House of Black with the remaining members of just 5 guys. I think House of Black. I wanted to see Malachi Black in particular wrestle some of these Japanese talent. Just the sequences would be amazing. And and I understand that Forbidden Door is one of those pay-per-views where people are gonna miss out. And just even looking at the card now, I think the card is crammed right now. And even adding another House of Black match, you're gonna have to give them at least 15 to 20. So I get why they're not on the pay-per-view, but if I'm booking the Forbidden Door card, I am personally putting House of Black as a top priority in terms of getting them on the show.
I agree with you there. J News, what about you? If you had to pick one, maybe from AEW or New Japan.
NK alluded to them, man. The Bullet Club, bro. These savages. What the hell? Where are they at? Where's my 100 proof? You know what I'm saying? Where my War Dogs at? I was like, what's going on? What's going on? If you couldn't get the LIJ House of Black, that's a perfect 6-man tag right there. The War Dogs, 100 proof against House of Black. You could have done that just for the sake of doing it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that to me would have been between House of Black and the new Savage Bullet Club members. I would have appreciated to see both of them on the show. Now that neither of them is going to be on the show, it's a little lackluster for me there. But there are factions and wrestlers who don't need to be on the show, aka House of Torture. Luckily, we don't have House of Torture on the show this year.
Hey, we can all be thankful for that. I saw some people saying, I think Frantic Girl said in the chat, I'm sad. He said, I'm sad we're not getting House of Black versus House of Torture. No, it was never going to happen. No. You don't watch enough House of Torture to know how much they ruin New Japan cards then. If you're acting,
I would say the entrances would be fun though. The entrances would be fun.
They just make their entrance and don't wrestle. The bell just rings twice and they leave again.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We got RP Jesus who says people need to understand that Stardom is its own promotion, not the New Japan Pro Wrestling women's division. Yeah, I think that's another thing that people don't. It doesn't really correlate
he's
with them.
absolutely right. He's not wrong, but it is under the same umbrella, right? So the board can pull strings if they needed to at that particular end. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right in from a technical standpoint. But they're both owned by Bushiroad. So at the end of the day, if the board says, "Hey, we need Mayu here," it's gonna happen. So it's one of those things. So that's yeah, I get it.
We got Kaden who says, I think House of Black, FTR, LIJ, and Bishamon get added still. But do you want this to be a 16-hour pay-per-view?
No.
What are we doing?
It's gonna be a late enough night, folks. Take it easy, everyone.
Exactly. Like, relax,
No.
relax, guys.
And I also think we're still going to be seeing some NJPW talent on AEW TV into July. So and vice versa. So I don't think this is the big show, but at the end of the day, we're still going to be seeing other Japanese talent in the company within the next month and a half. So yeah.
And I expect some New Japan talent at All In. I expect at least like one or two, not too many, but like one or two maybe.
I agree.
All In.
Yeah. Kaden saying, if I'm correct, it's 10 matches so far on the main show, 1 on the pre-show. I could totally see them adding 3 more to the free show. I'm totally all right with that. Yeah, that would be a mistake. And they've been going down to 1 match per pre-show this year. They've only done 1 match on the pre-show. Maybe they can add like a 5 guys versus somebody from AEW since Doki and Kanemaru are already in town because so I could see something like that, maybe a second matchup, but they don't need more than they don't need 4. That's for damn sure. But before we get into the matches that we have graphics for, there are a few matches that have not been announced before that, though. We'll talk about the one match that we know for sure is on the 0-hour pre-show here, as it's going to be an Owen Hart Memorial Women's Tournament quarterfinal matchup as the reigning ROH Women's World Champion Athena, the Fallen Goddess, will go one-on-one with Billy Starks, one of the up-and-comers, one of the prodigies of professional wrestling. A huge opportunity for her on the 0-hour pre-show here in Toronto versus Athena, who moves on in the Owen Hart Memorial Women's Tournament. We'll start with NK.
I think Athena for sure. Athena's been doing great work this year. I just think it's a shame that a lot of her work is kind of been smudged in a 2-hour show that people don't watch. But I think Athena versus Billy Starks would be. I'm not too familiar with Billy Starks. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard about her. It's one of those wrestlers I've heard about, but I haven't really engaged with her too tough. But I expect an Athena win. I don't really have many expectations of the match because, like I said, I'm not too familiar with Billy Starks. But yeah, I want Athena to go far in this tournament.
I think Athena does pick up the victory in this one. I don't see her going far because I think Willow's going to beat Nyla Rose on Collision, and Willow versus Athena 2. I'm going for Willow to go to the finals. But who you got here? Athena versus Billy Starks, J News.
School's out, so Billy gets to wrestle. So that's one of the main things. People forget how young she is. But she's an indie darling. Basically, I think this is going to be her second match on AEW TV. If I'm not mistaken, could be second or third match because she's been on AEW before. Mm-hmm. So it's good promo for her. It's good exposure. But I expect Athena to win with what she's been doing. To your point, SP3, she's been out here doing the Lord's work on ROH TV. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I always get hyped to see her cut her promos and see the match highlights from ROH on my YouTube feed because she's it on ROH right now. Yeah. Between her, the freaking God damn it, Matt Taven and freaking Mike Bennett and Maria, I forget what their faction
Kingdom.
And stuff like that. Yeah. The Kingdom. They're doing some excellent stuff. I love the fact that Stu Grayson has returned and now he's with freaking Vic and doing that stuff or whatever the case is. The Dark Order is actually getting some push over there, so that's cool. But yeah, man, Athena's dope, and I want her to win this particular match. Her and Willow Part 2. I'm for all. I'm for that, man. So hopefully Billy Starks has a better showing in this particular match, because her last match, I believe, was on Rampage, and that didn't go so well. So
I like the match she had with Jade. It was Battle of the Belts. I like that match.
I did. I thought it was a little bit too sloppy, son. So it's just me.
I enjoyed the matchup. I think she's gonna have a good match here with Athena, and I totally agree with you. Athena is the draw of Ring of Honor TV. The reason why I watch Ring of Honor every week is for Athena. So get her some damn green apple Skittles. Get her some green apple Skittles when she gets the W. Joe, who you got?
Athena for sure. Yeah, she's in the form of her life right now, honestly. As a long-time fan, it's really, really cool because a lot of people counted her out many, many times over. It's easy to forget what we're like 4 years removed from an Achilles tear. Like, she's a crazy success story that because a lot of people aren't seeing it, just still unaware of how good she is right now. So I'm thrilled for her to get this spot. Same for Billy. I think they're going to have a really physical match. Probably get around 8 to 10, and I think they're going to pack it with a lot of action. Athena is incredibly selfless. You've seen it with the Ring of Honor reign. I mean, she's elevating every woman she shares the ring with. So I think she'll make a point of that with Billy. And what a show of faith it is in Billy that she's on this card, right? This is the height of the industry in this kind of genre anyway. And so to put her on here is really sweet. So I love this being on the show. And Athena's going to win. The big question is, as you kind of alluded to, SP3, is Willow or Athena? Who's this tournament built around, right? I think is the real question. Is this a way to reintroduce Athena to TV? Or is it a way to give Willow a big-time moment? I think that's the biggest question with the Owen.
Yeah, you got to have Tony Khan. Tony Khan got to be like, I can't have New Japan pushing my girl more than I do. Right. Give Willow at least to the finals. And I don't know about the other side of the bracket. I think Sky Blue, Ruby, Britt, I don't know who's going to come out of that other side of the tournament. It should be interesting, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can't lose with that, right? If it's Athena or Willow, it's like, that's playing with house money. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, either or. But I'm a big Willow. I'm someone who's huge into Willow. I think Athena is somebody that you can like reheat because she's that good. Like there's always going to be opportunity for Athena, but I think Willow right now, just with the momentum she's got and the fact that she's champion, it's like there's an investment in Willow right now, and obviously Willow is just like a great baby face. So I feel like just go put all chips in, invest in Willow, and just have her win the Owen. Like that's my pick.
Yeah. And it's an easy way that you could parlay this into the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view, where now it would be Willow Athena 1-1, and then she could be the challenger for Willow, and we could get 2 belts Willow at Death Before Dishonor. I'll be all for that. Come on. Or 3 belts if she wins the Owen as well. Get that Owen belt in there too.
Of course. How could I forget? Yes, the belt. The Owen's a belt, of course. Fine.
Silly me. We got a super chat donation here from Caden. Thank you so much, Caden. He says, "Let's go, Bill. Sorry, bestie, you're gonna lose." He's at least honest with his best friend. That's very nice of you, Caden. Very nice. We also got a new member in our boy, the Negro Buck, Nick Jackson. Thank you so much, Nick, for your support and becoming a member of the YouTube channel here. We also got him saying that Nick Wayne just graduated too. Yep, Nick Wayne's about to debut on AEW television very, very soon. I want to see if Billy gets that one as well. And Kaden bringing that up, saying she graduated 3 weeks ago, so I wonder if she gets the graphic on Sunday.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, she might.
All right. Good enough.
Very interesting. We got Kaden with a super chat donation again. Thank you so much, Kaden, saying Billy and Nick Wayne about to take over. Man, Nick Wayne is just so talented.
He's amazing, man.
Yeah, if you didn't see his face and see that he's 18 years old, you could see it in his face. But if you just watched him in the ring, you would think that he's been wrestling for a decade.
Absolutely, yeah. I got to see him live, and he's also got this weird thing where he's like, he's adjusting to his own frame because he's that young. Mm-hmm. He's going to be incredible. He's already very good, but he's going to be spectacular, I think, pretty shortly.
Listen, I would say first match, throw him in with one of the Lucha Bros. First, throw him in. Just throw him in. Yeah, just throw him in there. Just have a real, just standout showcase performance, and then he's off to the races, man. Or better yet, one of the Lucha. I think, but do not forget the Lucha Bros. Bandido.
Yes.
Bandido's been on a hot streak right now. Throw him in there with Bandido. Let's get the ball rolling. Bandido needs some wins on TV as well. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
But he's hurt right now. He has a
he
broken
is.
wrist after the Takeshita match, and I think that Swerve already said he's gonna have the first match with Nick Wayne, and they got a bunch of chemistry together.
That's good.
Perfect.
From working Define.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Kaden also saying Billy and Athena both have been working stiff lately. They'll beat the hell out of each other, and I can't wait.
Can't wait.
We got Ramon who says Willow over Ruby makes storyline sense. Yeah,
does.
that's going to be your finals. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And in Tony Storm's words, Big Daddy Soho. So
there you go. So the two matches, first match we're going to bring up that doesn't have a graphic yet. It's going to be made tonight on Rampage. So if you don't want spoilers, you can pause and then skip ahead to the live button in like 2-3 minutes. It's going to be, give you a chance, 3, 2, 1. Adam Cole going one-on-one with the leader of Team Filthy, Tom Lawler, at AEW NJPW Forbidden Door. This seems to be set up by a promo segment between Adam Cole and MJF, with MJF, I guess, hiring or working with Team Filthy to weaken his future tag team partner in the Blind Eliminator tournament. So I'll start with you, Joe. Who you got? Cole versus Lawler.
I've definitely got Cole. It's a slightly strange match. I mean, I don't think it's going to be bad or anything necessarily. It's a slightly odd style matchup, and it's the way that they've put it together, doing it as a Rampage angle. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of kind of pieces that don't add up for me necessarily, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I think, Cole is the obvious winner, right? And this is just a way to kind of keep him rolling on the road to the MJF rematch. So it's just there for me, this one, I got to be honest.
NK?
Yeah, I think obvious Cole win. Now that I've seen, obviously you said that it's an angle between MJF and Adam Cole. It is very MJF of him to hire a guy, one of the few gaijins in New Japan. Like, he's not gonna hire somebody from a Japanese talent. He's gonna hire someone that is American, because it kind of fits into MJF's character of being like slightly xenophobic. But yeah, I think it's just Adam Cole win. Again, if I was fantasy booking the pay-per-view, Tom Lawler is not the person I'd put Adam Cole with, but I guess it's an easy way. It's an easy win that New Japan aren't going to sweat about. But again, there's other guys, man. I mean, I know he's smaller, but how about some love for the juniors, man? I mean, maybe a Master Watto,
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Like, there's a few juniors that could have been used in these positions that would have, been helpful. But overall, I think the match will be solid. I don't think it'll be like a barn burn or anything. I just think it'll be like a pretty solid match on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think their styles kind of make sense to work with one another in this one. Of course, we got the biggest Tom Lawler fan to X and X, Jay News. Who you got winning, Lawler versus Cole here?
I'm skipping this. Let's go on to the next match, man. I ain't gonna waste my time on this.
Jay, in other words, Jay News is going for Adam Cole, baby. I'm also gonna make it unanimous and say Adam Cole as well. And we got Negro Buck, who's the opposite of Jay News, saying I'm over the moon. They got Filthy Tom on this show. Really wish he was in the G1 though. Yes,
he's digging in his
Japanese
heels.
Clans.
The Negro Pig's digging in his heels. He knows I hate that shit. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But I'm with NK. Master Watto just came off for the win, the best of Super Juniors. Give the man some shine, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, give him something to do. Him versus Adam Cole wouldn't have been a bad match.
He'll get his shine in the All-Star Junior Festival in August in Philly.
I mean, okay.
He's gonna get himself a Philly
different shine, but yes, a shine nonetheless.
Yeah.
A less
all
bright
of it's
shine.
a shine.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, Baron never heard that speech before. There you go, folks. Yeah. Take the shine you can get in life, folks. Yeah.
Come on.
It's all the same. Don't worry about it,
We got Romeo says, hope Tom don't elbow Cole in the head. And Caden says, I love Tom. See? There you go. Some Tom love.
right.
Balance. It's all about balance, folks.
Exactly.
You know?
All about balance.
Joe's absolutely right. It's all about balance.
And a matchup that won't be confirmed until Collision, that we don't have a graphic for just yet. It's going to be Lazuki Gods, as it's going to be Minoru Suzuki teaming up with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara to face Sting, Darby Allin, and a mystery partner that they will announce on Saturday. So I'll start with J News on this one. Who do you think is going to be Sting and Darby's partner, and who do you have winning?
The good thing about this is that I honestly don't have any idea. Just because there's too much evidence for me to believe that Naito is not going to be the partner, because he wasn't on the show last year, and there's no LIJ representation on the show so far. So that's that. I wouldn't know. But Hiromu makes sense because him and Darby went at it, I think, sometime last year, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe
he was supposed to be the tag team partner at Forbidden Door last year.
He wasn't supposed to make
couldn't make it.
There you go. So now this year he can make it, if possible. So I think it makes more sense for Hiromu to join in that sense. I would love it for it to be Naito, but I don't know.
Wait, and who do you have winning the matchup?
Oh, man. Who does win this? I mean, it's the Stinger. So I'm going for the Stinger here. Deathlock on Jericho for the win. Makes him tap, goes out on top. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Joe, who you got as the partner, and who do you got winning?
I do think Naito. The fact they're building it to be like a segment on the separate show, I think Naito is the guy who the audience will react to in a way that makes that work. I mean, don't get me wrong, Shingo would get a great reaction also, right? I mean, he was their partner last year, but I think Naito, with the description of enemies that Jericho's made and however he phrased it, I think it's Naito. And I agree on the prediction. I think Sting doesn't lose, right? That's one of the firm rules in AEW. So I think he beats Jericho after some kind of miscommunication with Sammy. But the real headline here is Sting and Suzuki are going to be in the same match. And at some point, they're going to tag in, go head-to-head in the center ring, and the crowd's going to go nuts. What they do at that point, I've yet to figure out. I do not know. I do not know if Sting is going to trade forearms. I don't know if that's not what we're going to... And I know how he's going to approach that.
Yes!
But we did it last time we were talking about this on the grid, and we agreed that at some point Sting is going to do the deal where he beats his chest, and Suzuki's facial when he does that is going to be magical. So this is very Fire Pro. I respect this match a lot.
I said it after Databyte this week. Suzuki is on the Mount Rushmore of best facial expressions in wrestling today.
Yeah.
And especially after that trios match on Dynamite. I was like, Roman, Paul Heyman, Minoru Suzuki. Those are my top 3 facial expressions in wrestling today. And I can't wait for that moment of Suzuki standing across from Sting. I agree with you, with Joe and J News. Team Sting gets the win. And I'm going to go with Naito. I think that because of what they said and the fact that they're building a whole segment around it, the one that's going to get the biggest reaction is Tetsuya Naito, because that would be a big surprise. I would love for it to be Hiromu to make up for him missing out last year. And I think that will play into the matchup I've been wanting for Forbidden Door for the past 2 years of Hiromu versus Darby, because if there's 2 guys that will put their body on the line to have a banger, it's Hiromu and Darby. But maybe I have to wait for All-Star Junior Festival for that in August. See, you're getting some more shine, All-Star Junior Festival. I'm showing some love. But I think that Naito makes the most sense with having a whole segment to announce the partner. If it was Hiromu or Shingo, I would think they would have just announced it on Dynamite. Yeah. But NK, who you got, and who do you think is the partner?
Yeah, I think it has to be Naito. I think Naito is the only black. Anything other than Naito will kind of be a disappointment, because like Joe said, it's like you're putting this on a whole other show. This could, and I remember how Darby and Sting announced Shingo and Hiromu. They just did it in the backstage segment. It was very quick and they moved on. But this has kind of got a whole build to it, and obviously the rivalry between Naito and Jericho in New Japan was great. So I definitely think it should be Naito. I predict Darby, Sting, and the partner Naito to win. More specifically because I think they're obviously building into this Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho thing, and we kind of need another reason for a rift to occur between the two, because now they've kind of like, okay, not reconciled, but like we're gonna put our heads together for this match. And if they win the match, it kind of gives credence to Chris Jericho saying, see, we're good as a team. If they lose, gives them another reason to like split apart and, you know, go their separate ways. So yeah, I'm picking Darby and Sting for the win.
Yeah, and just to confirm, because I see some confusion in the chat, Sting is undefeated in AEW. He's never lost. Not to 2.0, not to anybody. He's never lost in AEW history.
That's just incredible, isn't it? That's what it's all about, you know?
We're going on 3 years of undefeated Sting.
I bet he has got the pin in like 80% of those two. God bless him. The Stinger. Still rolling, folks. Still rolling. Tremendous.
Woo!
That's it, bro.
It's showtime. It's showtime.
Undefeated.
That would be an absolute banger. Okay, I would be okay with them adding one more match if it's that. Rice Smith saying I would appreciate Roddy Shingo on the undercard. If they were going to add one more match, that would be it. I would be okay with that. I wouldn't be mad at that.
With all due respect, this is a match that deserves to be on Forbidden Door. But
yeah, for sure.
If they couldn't fit into Forbidden Door, could have given me that on Collision. Like I would have been like as the main event of Collision, just building into Forbidden. I think going forward, what they should do, because Forbidden Door is always going to be a tricky thing to book because you can't put everyone on the show.
Right.
I feel like what the Dynamites and the Collisions leading into like next year's Forbidden show would be was like, okay, here are the matches that couldn't make it onto the card. Right. But we're just going to give you guys this as like a preview to what to expect on Sunday. So we're going to obviously build the storylines that are currently happening in AEW, but just give us a few matches where it's like, these are honorable mentions of Forbidden Door, and then get into like the meat and potatoes on Sunday.
I like the idea of, they kind of use the phrasing sometimes, Forbidden Door season. I do like that kind of sprinkling it in through the month of June, getting these kind of, because last year we got, and Osprey obviously was on Forbidden Door itself, but we got that Dax match. Remember that was like thrown on TV, and there's like some stuff that would never make the show itself, but was great TV. And I do think there's room for that for sure. And we're getting on Saturday, we're getting Tanahashi and Swerve, which again, slightly different, but I think definitely that stuff is some of the more fun things we get from this season for sure.
Yeah, and we're getting Jungle Boy and Dookie on Rampage, so a bit of that. And I think we're getting United Empire and Chaos again.
United Empire with Swerve versus Chaos, and they added Yo. So
they did.
It's the season. Tis the season.
Tis the season for Forbidden Door. But let's get to the matches that we do have graphics for in the Owen Hart Memorial Men's Tournament. It kicks off at Forbidden Door, and it kicks off with a dream match as CM Punk will make his first appearance on an AEW pay-per-view since All Out 2022, and he's going one-on-one with former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, GAC Heavyweight Champion, and Triple Crown champion Satoshi Kojima. I know a lot of people are looking forward to this one. I know, in fact, CM Punk is a huge fan of Kojima, so this is a dream come true. Joe, who you got, Punk or Kojima?
Definitely got Punk, but this is kind of sums up where we're at in the game at this point, where this match is just like, and they're doing Punk and Kojima on the show too, and it's just what a time to be alive. I'm not saying it's going to be a classic because it's not supposed to be. It's going to be 10 to 12 minutes of the greatest hits, and there'll be some cool moments. They'll have great atmosphere, but I'm very excited for this personally. Kojima can still go. It's quite remarkable how good he is actually at this point, honestly, because physically he looks the same to me as he did when I started watching him many years ago. And I know he's not, but he's kind of timeless in that way. Punk, he's obviously getting the rust off, and he wrestled last week and was kind of minimal in that match, rightly so, and I think he will be again in the 8-man. Pretty interesting opponent for his first singles match back, I think it's fair to say, but I think this will actually be a much smoother ride than the Kenta match would have been. I think he's still be able to have a much more classical match, whereas Punk and Kenta is a really weird style. I don't know how they would have actually had that match, to be honest with you. So I think this will be a really fun, greatest hits kind of deal. Not too dissimilar to what Kojima did with Mox, and I think the crowd will love this. I probably will too. I'm looking forward to this, but I got Punk for sure.
So I'm just before we get everybody's prediction, I just want to echo what Joe just said. This is the much better matchup. This is more of a dream match than Kenta in 2023 versus CM Punk. I said it once, I say it again, I'll say it a million times. Kenta's drop off in quality is like comparing Kenta of 2006, 2007 to Kenta in 2023 is like comparing Chris Paul in 2011 to Chris Paul in 2023. It's like comparing Triple H in 01 to Jinder Mahal in 2017. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Stop asking. I saw people ad nauseum asking for this matchup, and I'm like, y'all haven't watched Kenta since he came back, since Wrestle Kingdom 16, he was on the decline at Wrestle Kingdom 16, and Tanahashi, who's a little bit older than him, dragged him to a great match at that show. And then he crushed him with that high five throw, and that Kenta has not come back yet. We have not seen that Kenta since then, and that was a Kenta on the decline. This is Kenta by name only. I see Hideo Itami every time he's in the goddamn ring. What are we asking for?
Hideo Itami was better than this.
205 Live, Hideo Itami was much better than this crap. Jesus Christ, stop asking for this. Stop begging for it. Stop being a defender of Kenta. He ain't worth your defense. He don't got the bag to pay for your defense. What are we doing? NK, Kojima, and Punk.
that is a tough act to follow. Yeah, I think the Kent. Do you know what? The only thing I would say, the build of a Punk versus Kenta would have been hilarious.
Yes,
because already just Kenta throwing stuff online would have been was excellent, and the video packages would have been just great. I mean, they probably wouldn't have had access to the Noah footage, so maybe it wouldn't have been that great. But yeah, the match is great in name alone. But yeah, I do agree. Satoshi Kojima versus Punk is the better match. I'm interested to see just how Punk works this, because it's interesting to see how Punk would work with Japanese talent. And especially, just given this stage of his career, he's a very different worker to a lot of the guys in New Japan. And in Japanese wrestling in general. So it's going to be an interesting styles clash, but I feel like, Kojima's got more of his faculties there than Kenta, respectfully. So, I would say that this is like lower on my end of matches that I'm hyped for, but like as Joel said, like that just shows the strength of this card that I can just be like, this match is okay. I may get popcorn during this match, I may not. Like we'll see. Like it's fine.
I'm just here for the machine gun chops to CM Punk and one errant one that chips his tooth. That one errant one that chips his tooth. So Punk could be like, is Kojima shooting on me? J News, who you got, Kojima and Punk?
Oh man, I can't follow your Kenta rant right there, brother Adam. I mean, look, for all intents and purposes, I haven't been yelling it from the rooftops, but I've always been on the board since he came back to NJPW that this isn't the same guy we watched about 10 to 15 years ago. People thought I was crazy, and I'm not crazy. And for all intents and purposes, let me give you something else. He's doing this shit on purpose. Let me tell you that right now. He's doing this shit on purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's tough to watch people do shit purposely. Sometimes it's like for all New Japan fans, that last match we saw the machine gun Carl Anderson have on a New Japan show. That sir was a travesty.
That was real fucking raps, brother.
It was a travesty. And he did that shit on purpose, for God's sake. So, that's to end on the Kenta bit. Look, I love Koji. Anytime I get to see Koji in the ring, it puts a smile on my face, man. Like Joe said, he's still going at this age, and he's still knocking it out of the ballpark. Now, how is Punk stylistically gonna go and craft this match with him? I don't necessarily know. It's gonna be tough for Punk to get him up for a GTS. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah,
Koji's no lightweight, so that's one point on that there. But I think to what Joe said before, it's gonna be one of those matches where it's gonna be the greatest hits, both for Koji, both for CM Punk. They're gonna get their shit in, and they'll come to a culmination. It shouldn't be a long match, probably anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes and stuff like that. Punk wins just because it's an Owen Hart Memorial tournament match, in my estimation. So yeah, just give me Koji in wherever in the Forbidden Door. You know what I'm saying? So I would me personally, I would have rather some Blue Justice, but that's just.
But he's the Triple Crown champion.
I know.
He can't take no L's. He can't take no L's right now. He can't take no L's.
If we're doing New Japan dads, but at the end of the day, yeah, he can't take no L's right now.
They met us in the middle because they could have gave us Tenzan. They could have given us Tenzan, and that might be worse than a Kenta match.
Exactly.
We got Rice Man who says, "Bright lights, Carl Anderson. What a real wrestler."
I can't comment on this matter for political reasons, so I'm going to simply say yes.
Carl Anderson, is hilarious because there are a group of people that genuinely forget that he used to be a great wrestler.
Oh yeah, he was the real.
G1 Carl Anderson was special.
He was.
Why?
He was.
I mean,
G1 Carl Anderson.
It's you, Sam, brother. You talk to the right people. Some people say he's still great. I mean, he might be on the screen right now. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just we'll talk after. We'll talk after. I've got some stuff to show you. It'll be fine. We'll keep it quiet.
Look, he went out there. He had a good matchup with the Viking Raiders just a few weeks ago.
Give me a break, man. Once he got that Vinnie Mac money, it's all downhill from there, bro.
Look, I'm not saying it's me. I'm just saying I studied the tape. I have certain opinions. I'm willing to share them off air. That's all I'm saying. I watch the game tape. That's all I do.
Hey, give me Carl Anderson versus Chris Sabin from the pandemic. Come on. He was working. He was working even with the Impact money. He was working.
You've seen the tapes, bro. You've seen the tapes.
I've seen it. We got Kaden who says, "I want Kojima to yell lariat when he hits a lariat." We got Dragon Master Adam who says, "Tenzan is cooked."
Yes. He's been cooked for about 10 years.
Exactly.
He extra crispy out here in these streets, but I am. This is a mere coincidence that this is the next match that we're gonna feature here. Nothing to talk about with CM Punk and these guys in the same building. But next up, we're gonna talk about Team Elite versus Team Blackpool Combat Club. It's a 5-on-5 matchup of Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks teaming up with Tomohiro Ishii and Eddie Kingston to verse the Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli, teaming up with Konosuke Takeshita and Shoto Umino. This one, I think this is probably going to be the sleeper match of the night. With these guys in the ring, these are all great workers, and I think this is going to be an excellent matchup. But who comes out with the victory in this one? We'll start with you, J News.
That is an excellent question. Who comes out with the victory here? I think the fans do, to be quite honest. You got a 5-on-5 here. I want to see Takeshita versus the Stone Pit Bull. I want that on my TV screen. I want all that.
Put that in my veins. I'm ready for that.
It's always good to see Eddie back in the ring. Because he's one hell of a promo, and secondarily, he's actually one hell of a wrestler. Even though he looks the way that he looks, he's one hell of a wrestler at the end of the day. So I want to see all of it. Who wins? Did the BCC get the win last time against the Elite?
Yeah.
Well, they lost on Dynamite to the Hungry.
Who lost?
They lost the trios on Dynamite. Yeah.
So it's 1-1.
Basically, yeah. When it comes to multi-man matches between these two units.
I smell shenanigans here. I smell shenanigans here. This might not end cleanly. Yeah, that's my take. That's my take.
But who wins?
I think this is gonna be one of those. Gotta pick.
Gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
BCC. Just on shenanigans alone. I think BCC. I don't know why, but BCC on shenanigans alone. That's my pick.
Joe, who you got?
I'm got the same pick. I think Takeshita pins Ishii. I love Ishii, but they kind of beat him like a drum at this point, right? Like it wouldn't be a surprise. His G1 record was crazy last year, so I think they'll probably give Takeshita the win. This match should be spectacular. The the elite guys are always so good in these types of matches. You're going to have the set piece with Mox and Eddie going head to head, and will they, won't they, that kind of whole deal, which would be great. Eddie's going to be constantly trying to kill Claudio. Ishii and Takeshita has been mentioned. So this is going to be a treat. And I love these kind of all-star matchups. And that's what this is, right? This is one of those matchups that in 10 years, 20 years, someone's going to go, how the hell did this even, how is this one match, right? It's an absurd match. This wouldn't have made sense 2 weeks ago also, which is hilarious. And that's how wrestling can work sometimes. But here it is, and I'm thrilled to see it. I'm very fired up. I got Blackpool Combat Club personally, though, definitely.
NK?
I got the elite. The elite. I got the elite, man. I feel like, yeah, on the pay-per-views, like, I can't know, the elite have kind of like, the Blackpool Combat Club have really like given it to the elite. Like, obviously the elites have had their moments of retaliation here and there. But yeah, I feel like the elite, maybe I'm not gonna say need a win, because I think this feud can go on if the elite lose. But yeah, I think the elite are in search for a win. And Jay News brought it up, man. Just seeing Konosuke Takeshita and Ishii go at it, they're gonna rip each other's heads off. Then even seeing Shota and Takeshita standing next to each other, it's very interesting. Like, it's very, very interesting. Like, and yeah, this is kind of like, aside from like the dream matches, this is kind of what I love about Forbidden Tour, just the dream pairings. It's like, Shota and Takeshita are essentially in the same boat for their respective companies. Like, they're being groomed for that next position, and they're being put around guys that are ready to take them. They're obviously, with Shota, he's feuding with Okada, and then with Takeshita, he's feuding with Omega, like arguably the aces of their respective companies. So it's interesting to see, like, the mirror between them two, and then now they're going to be teaming up. So yeah, man, this match is definitely interesting. When I first saw it, I was like, but then now I think about it, it's like, nah, the amount of talent in this ring, and considering how good, for example, the trios match at Dominion was, and then now you're adding like the Bucks, and Eddie Kingston and Ishii and Takeshita, it's like, yeah, we're in for something special here, man.
It's fun that this is kind of opening the door to something that I've been hopeful for a while, which is the like old grumpy fella Eddie Kingston Ishii team, because they've now established that Eddie was willing to call on him as an ally, which is hilarious because they've shown no signs as before. They just hit each other a lot. This, as a team, that could be a real treat, right? Like, just as an occasional thing, that could be a blast. So that's going to be fun also.
I just love the different matchups and dynamics that you got in here, because, Joe brought up the whole Eddie and Moxley story, which is kind of at the forefront, or was at the forefront the last 2 weeks, with kind of Eddie going against his word to Moxley that he wouldn't fight Claudio in AEW. Then you got Eddie's whole issue with Claudio. You got the Elite and the BCC, Hangman and Moxley having that blood feud earlier this year. You got Takeshita, who could go at it with Ishii, who can also go at it, have a great match with Eddie Kingston. They had a great match on AEW in the past. Shooter being across the ring from the Elite. I would love to see him and Hangman. That could be a great matchup as well. So many different dynamics here, but I agree that the Blackpool Combat Club, I think, need that victory. They need to kind of solidify their dominance over the Elite, so it makes Elite's eventual win in Blood and Guts that much more satisfying, because they are finally able to really get a defining win over the Blackpool Combat Club after losing at 2 straight pay-per-views. But it seems like a lot of people in the chat is also agreeing with this. Caden saying BCC with some chicanery. We also got Romeo, who says Eddie's hatred will be his downfall. BCC win. And that's always the case with Eddie Kingston. His hatred is his biggest Achilles heel.
I'll say this about Eddie Kingston, man. You know, because there's something that some people might not know what's been going on New Japan Pro Wrestling side, or whatever the case is. So I believe Eddie Kingston on the Independence Day show has a match against Desperado, right?
He's wrestling Kenta.
Kingston's wrestling Kenta,
yes.
yeah.
Oh,
shit. Kenta for you're thinking Moxley. Moxley has the match with Desperado.
There you go. My bad. So with that, Moxley having that match versus Desperado, have you been seeing who Desperado has been trying to lure? Well, he lured him over to the NJPW side. He lured Jun Kasai over there.
Excuse me.
So we might be seeing a death match between Mox and Jun Kasai sometime soon. So or maybe the three of them. I don't know, because Despy's a death match wrestler nowadays. So we'll be seeing that. But anyways, Eddie Kingston, man, he's an interesting dude in this whole dynamic, right?
Yes.
He's got that beef with Claudio. He's got the interplay with Mox and whatnot. I don't know if his hatred's gonna, overcome him in this particular match. I just wonder what comes from all this for him necessarily. Because it's like, does he just continue the feuds, or it's like, does it go anywhere else per se?
Yeah, it's very, very compelling because he's kind of like objectively in the wrong, right? In the sense that as much as he hates Claudio, he's just like got himself involved in this just for that reason alone. So I'm really intrigued because Eddie is the hero who's completely flawed in almost every which way, which is why we love him. So I'm intrigued how they portray that, definitely.
Absolutely. And Nero Buck saying there's so many storylines in this match. Can't forget the wars that Ishii and Mox have had. Yeah, I think Ishii is strictly in this matchup because he's one of Moxley's greatest opponents. Like, and you saw the dynamic they had. They were really the highlight of the Dominion Trios matchup, in my opinion, when they were going at it with each other. So it's going to be a great one, that one. I think if it's not the top two matches, that might be the match of the night on this show.
Agreed.
But let's talk about the Women's Championship will be up for grabs. AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm defending against the NJPW Strong Women's Champion Willow Nightingale. These two women have been going at it over the last couple of weeks, ever since Willow made the save for Sky Blue after she lost to Toni Storm and was getting beaten down by the Outcasts. It was Willow and Sky who got the victory over Storm and Soho on the debut edition of Collision. And now we have this champion versus champion scenario. Toni Storm on back-to-back Forbidden Door cards here. And this one much more than her and Thunder Rosa fits into the whole dynamic of New Japan versus versus AEW, because Willow is the NJPW Strong Women's Champion. NK, who you got, Willow or Toni?
You guys can hear me all right, yeah?
Yeah, you're good. Good.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. Definitely this fits into the dynamic a bit more because, like I said, Willow is an actual representative of New Japan, technically, because he's a champion. But I've got Toni Storm winning, but I think Toni Storm's going to win by cheating. I think Ruby Soho definitely gets involved. I think they're going to put over Willow strong here. They're going to make Willow look strong. At least that's what I think they should do. So, I've got Toni Storm winning, but Willow Nightingale having like a standout performance.
Yeah, I think it should get more time than last year's matchup with Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. That could have been better if it had more time. I think this one will get 10 minutes plus, maybe even more. Joe, who you got, Willow or Toni?
I'm in a very similar place to NK on this one. I think this is going to be one of those deals where you kind of give Willow the spotlight on an AEW stage that she's got elsewhere thus far, right? Like, she had the big match with Athena, she had the Mercedes situation, of course, and now she's going to get a huge match from Forbidden Door. I think she's going to look great in defeat due to some kind of shenanigans and cheating and so on and so forth. But I like the match a lot. I think this stylistically is a really compelling match. So I think this could be really, really good. Should be, honestly. And I think it'll be a big night for Willow, even in defeat. I'm excited for it.
I agree with Joe and NK. I'm going with Toni Storm to get the victory, but I think it's thanks to Ruby Soho, which I hope parlays into the finals of the Owen Hart tournament, because Ruby going back-to-back to the finals would do something for her stock, and it would be appropriate with their former partnership, Willow and Ruby, in the finals. J News, who you got, Willow or Toni?
Toni for the win due to shenanigans. I was thinking the same thing once NK said it. I was like, yeah, Ruby Soho, Big Daddy Soho. She comes in, she does her thing, smacks her around a bit, and they both meet at the end of that tournament, and it'll be personal. It'll be a blood feud for all blood feuds. If we see Ruby Soho bleed again, it'll happen versus Willow Nightingale. So
would be appropriate.
It would be appropriate. So but no, I think from what everyone else was saying, stylistically, this match is a banger. Just from the styles, as long as they're given time, and everything is fair, and everything is well put together. This should be a banger of a match for these two ladies. Tony for the win. I'm not too sure how New Japan's going to look at the Willow loss in this case, right, from a title perspective. But we'll see how that occurs down the line.
I think they'll be fine because they're like, Willow wasn't even supposed to be here. like
I think
this was
those strong
Mercedes.
belts are, I'm not totally convinced Gedo knows what those belts are, to be honest with you. I think that's kind of a Rocky Romero. He kind of sneaks them in. Willow will walk past and Gedo will be like, oh, when did that happen? Rocky, don't
Why
worry
does her
about
title
it.
have New Japan on it? Like, what?
Is she one of our guys? It's because a lot of belts. It's complicated. It's hard to follow.
Very true. Next, we got another title match here for the AEW International Championship. So a lot of correlation from the first Forbidden Door to this one. You got Tony in the women's title matchup. You got the AEW International / All Atlantic Championship being defended in a 4-way. Once again, this time Orange Cassidy will defend against ROH Pure Champion Kazuchika Shibata, NJPW World Television Champion Zack Sabre Jr., and Daniel Garcia. These four men had a really good tag team matchup on AEW Dynamite with Orange Cassidy with an accidental orange punch to Shibata, which allowed Daniel Garcia to pin the Pure Champion. And now we have this 4-way matchup here. Jay News, who do you think walks out with the International Championship?
This is my sleeper pick match of the night right here. With the way that the tag team match went off, I was like, oh, this 4-way, give me this. I want to see all of this. Who wins the match though? Oh man. He's gonna pull it out, bro. The orange man will pull this out. He's on fire, bro. It's like there's just no way he'll get beat down, he'll get dragged into somewhere, somehow he'll win this match. And he's just finding every other kind of way to win matches, and that's the beauty of him being the international champion in the last recent months. Just him finding these ways to win these matches and just and put on banger after banger after banger. So I see him winning this match. Who does he pin? Probably Daniel Garcia. At the end of the day, Shibata ain't taking nobody's pin. Yeah, I know that for a fact.
He already took a pin. He already took a pin on Dynamite.
So and on top of everything else, I don't see Zaki taking a pin either here, man. You know what I'm saying? He's the TV champ of New Japan Pro. He's on his own streak, so it's like he ain't taking a pin. So Daniel gets the pin here, or takes the pin here, and Orange for the win.
I 100% agree with you. I think Orange Cassidy gets the win. He pins Daniel Garcia because if he was going to pin Zack Sabre Jr., they would have just made this a singles match.
Yes,
but they wanted to avoid either champion losing here. So that's why it's a 4-way. And that's why Daniel Garcia got the win on Dynamite to make this a little bit softer of a landing when he loses here at the pay-per-view. NK, who you got in the 4-way?
Yeah, man. I think the Orange Cassidy supremacy continues. I think Daniel Garcia might be the one to eat the pin. At first, when I saw like Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. interacting, I said, okay, like cool, we're in for a singles match. And then when they got announced it was a 4-way, I was like, okay, kind of disappointed, but at the same time, it makes sense. Not only do we not want a double champ situation, I think TV All Atlantic is will be one of the most confusing double champs we've seen, because 1 week we'll have it'll be like, okay, Orange Cassidy or Zack Sabre Jr. will be wrestling for 15 minutes. The next week they'll be wrestling for about 25 to 30. So maybe you don't combine those two mid-card champions. So that makes perfect sense to me. But yeah, I think this match will be crazy. All of these guys are great workers, like every single one of them. So, and just the multitude of combinations you can have between them is excellent. And I remember last year's 4-way where the All Atlantic title was introduced was an absolute banger. And the talent pool in this, I don't know if I would say is higher, but I've seen a lot more of the talent pool here, because I think last year we had Miro, Ishii. Ishii was injured, right?
Yeah, it was Clark Connors.
We had Miro, Clark Connors, and I'm forgetting Malachi Black.
Malachi and Pac.
and Pac, which was still a stacked thing, but now it's like, oh, we've got a lot of interesting elements in this match. So yeah, I feel like this will be like last year, another bang of a 4-way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like these four can blend a little bit better than the four that we saw last year. Even though those four guys, they exceeded my expectations with that matchup last year. Joe,
quick
you got here?
Question for the room, real quick. Joe, answer this if you know. What's Pac's contract status with AEW? Is he done?
No,
I
he's
think
still here.
Deal. There's been a lot of kind of Pax. He doesn't. A lot of his stuff gets to the reporters and stuff, so it's always very hard to know what's going on with him.
Right.
He's not been around since January.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Since they lost the trios titles.
Like, again, let me be clear. Nothing we've heard suggests his contract's up, but the way Pac does business, his contract may become it's always hard to say. So yeah, it's a weird one though, for sure. Yeah, there was the broken nose situation. Caden's right. That was in the series, right? He broke his nose. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll see him soon enough. But as for this one, I agree with everyone here. I think Orange has been in Garcia. I'm slightly more torn on the match in that I don't know if these are like the guys I would pick for the multi-man spot, in the sense that there are so many of them Matt oriented. I think it could be slightly difficult to put them in this kind of scenario. But I mean, they're all so adaptable and so good. I'm sure it'll be really good anyway. I have no doubts it'll be a good match. I kind of wonder if there was other guys would be more suited to the scramble kind of match. I guess is what I'm thinking. But always happy to see Garcia get a big spot like this, and obviously all these fellas are terrific as we've established. I mean, these are the talent level in this match it speaks for itself. So I'm sure it'll be damn good.
Absolutely. Two of the best champions in the world with Zach and Orange in this one. And Ramon saying, I think he was injured in the back half of the best of 7 series. No, he was injured in the first matchup. And he did the whole best of 7 with a broken nose. So, yeah.
Does he wear the mask, right?
He kept falling down, and he was incredible.
It was hilarious. And now we got the top 4 matches here. First, for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Jay News's favorite wrestler in the world, Sonata, will defend against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Sonata issued an open challenge to anyone on the AEW roster to step up for his prize, and it was Jungle Boy Jack Perry who has made the promise that he will win singles gold in 2023, who stepped up to the challenge. And I love that these guys kind of mirror each other, where Sonata has long been this upstart who everyone thought had high potential, that always kept losing the big one after big one after big one, until he finally put it all together, evolved this year, and beat Okada to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And in a lot of ways, Jungle Boy Jack Perry is the current guy who has a lot of potential, who people see big things for, but he keeps losing big one after big one here. He lost at Double or Nothing. Will he be able to finally win the big one here? Jay News, we'll start with you since you're your guy, Sonata and Jungle Boy. What do you think about this matchup, and who do you think wins?
So when the matchup got announced, I was like most fans. I was like, what the hell's going on? But then I calmed down a bit, and then I reassessed, and I said to myself, Jungle Jack's a pretty good wrestler. So I'm not going to shit the bed here with this match. So I think that this match is going to be a good match. I think this is going to be a good match for Jungle Boy in the sense of differentiation in style. So if the styles clash well and Sonata puts on, and they both put on one hell of a smooth ass match, I think that this was going to be one of those sleeper hits that people are going to remember for a long period of time. Who wins? You're asking the wrong guy. Sonata for the win. But at the end of the day, I'm giving Jungle Jack the same love you guys were giving Willow in that Tony Storm match. I think Jungle Jack is going to show out. I think he's going to have one hell of a showing against Sonata, and he's going to be able to prove that he can be a main event kind of guy in this match against Sonata, even though he takes the loss here. So that's more or less my thought process behind this match.
We got Romeo in the chat that says evolved, turn heel. Sonata didn't turn heel. Sonata's definitely a babyface. I know you're probably referring to Jungle Boy evolving and turn heel, but I didn't say he evolved. NK, who you got? Sonata and Jungle Boy here.
Obviously, I think it's very obvious that Sonata's going to win, but I am very high on this match. Obviously, when people think of Forbidden Door, we think of like the big dream matches, and obviously we're gonna get to like two of the big dream matches, but also a Forbidden Door is just unexpected matchups that you'd never see.
Mhm.
And obviously, if you even Sonata being champion, if you asked me, if you told me like what percentage of Sonata being the world heavyweight champion this year, I would have been like 0. Like it's beating Okada 0, but he's champion now. And Jack Boy is obviously somebody they have a lot of prospects for, and I think Jack Boy is the one out of the pillars that's kind of questionable. I
Mhm.
feel like obviously MJF is MJF. Darby, has been positioned high on the card, and Sammy Guevara, even though I'm not a fan of this face run that they're trying to push with him, there's tremendous, like the upside to Sammy is clearly there. Jungle Boy is the one where people are a bit iffy on, and putting him in a position like this where he's fighting for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against obviously Sanada, who's not the biggest star in New Japan, but certainly a name, is a massive platform for him, a huge platform for him. And there's going to be a lot of eyes on this card. So for me, it's like, yes, it's pretty ballsy. And for me, I have higher hopes for Jungle Boy to pull like a great match, from this. And yeah, this will just be and I think storyline wise, it makes sense if we are pushing towards a Jungle Boy heel turn. I think another like defeat at a championship will definitely push him in the direction of a heel, because he's the only one out of the 4 pillars not to win a singles title as well.
Yeah.
So I think him losing on a big stage like this will kind of push him down that road to becoming a heel. So I think the upsides for this match are tremendous. So yeah, like this is a match I'm very intrigued and excited to see.
Joe, what do you think about this match? Who do you got winning, Jungle Boy or Sonata?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say on this panel I'm the low man here, which is fine. I've already exposed myself by doing a Cole Anderson bit, so I'm going to just, I'm going to take the L on this one. So it's not really my thing. I'm not a big Sonata guy, but I think it'll be good. I think it's a smart way to develop the Jack story, as NK kind of was tapping into there. And I think you may get the angle on Sunday. I think you may turn on Hook on Sunday, to be honest. I think that's very, very feasible. So I pitched this elsewhere, but the idea of Hook failing to win all these big belts, turning heel and taking the FTW belt and being like, finally, I've won the big one. That would be a tremendous way to establish him as a heel.
Yeah.
And so, I think obviously Sonata's winning. I actually think this match definitely has potential physically to be a hit. It's not one I'm going to be excited for until it's in front of me and I may get into it. Hopefully so. It is what it doesn't have the prestige necessarily you'd want the IWGP title match to have for a range of reasons that, it is what it is. But I have no doubt it'll be good. I think Jack's, honestly, I think a lot of the criticism for Jack as of late, like I totally get it, but when it bleeds over into his in-ring, I think he's terrific inside the ropes. So I think him and Sonata will have a good one, certainly.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I got Sonata winning this one. And I think I'm gonna say yes. The turn happens on Sunday, that he blames Hook, because that whole promo where he says, "I want my best friend Hook." When did he become your best friend? And usually in wrestling terms, when you call someone your best friend, that means I'm turning on you pretty soon.
Absolutely.
So I think it might just happen on Sunday, even though I would probably wait. I would let them get maybe one more tag team win and then go after the tag team titles, and then they lose there, and then he turns on him. I could see something like that as well, but we shall see. We got our good friend Kev Kellum in the chat saying the matches are strong, but it does feel predictable in most outcomes, but that's not like it's a bad thing, a real show for hardcore fans in Toronto. I think we're maybe referring to the more like big time matches, because a lot of the other, I think the title matches are predictable, but all the other matches are not. That's what I think. And not even all the title matches, because one of the title matches we're going to bring up, I don't think it's very predictable at all, but we'll see. And we got Big Man Dogs who says, yeah, I'd say this match makes sense for AEW, less so for NJPW. That I don't agree with, because NJPW just put Yota Tsuji in an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship matchup. Yota Tsuji, who is brand new, re-debuting, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, it's not that much of a downgrade from the last challenger.
No, and Jungle Boy is somebody literally in the last pay-per-view who challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he's challenged like arguably the best champion in AEW, Kenny Omega. So he's not this ain't his first rodeo at a heavyweight championship. So
he's no slouch. Got to put some respect on Jungle Jack's name.
For sure.
100% agree. Let's move on to the other big time title match here for the AEW World Championship. It's MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman defending against the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. And the build really started for this and the post press conference for Double or Nothing, where MJF was asked about Forbidden Door, and he said it's a rinky-dink indie fed. He said he doesn't care about anyone. He says he doesn't like anyone from NJPW outside of Great Okan. So, of course, NJPW was going to bring the embodiment of the company, the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. You got the young, brash guy who's in the best shape of his career as the champion versus a broken down, grizzled veteran who wants to get one more time at the world title in Tanahashi. Who do you got in this one, Joe?
Well, Max is going to win, but I think this may be the opposite of what we had with the last match, right? I sense I'm going to be the high man on this one. I have a feeling something magical may happen here. Look, here's the thing with Hiroshi Tanahashi, folks. He can't really walk at this point. And like I've seen him up close. He's very striking where he's at physically. But he's still Hiroshi Tanahashi, and he can do some incredible things in front of a live crowd that wants to see him. I've seen it enough to know there's something magical may just happen here. And I also think stylistically this is a natural matchup because, you know, Tanahashi famously, the reason he was such a unique top guy for New Japan was that he had this kind of traditional US style. That was what made him so unique and changed the main event style for New Japan. So I think they're going to have like an 80s NWA World title match. Now, I absolutely have concerns about Tanahashi's body holding up, but honestly, he's smart enough to make that part of the match. And he's going to be breaking down during the match. And that's that's going to be the story they tell. And I think Max is going to work over his knees or whatever it may be. And I just think there's a chance this is great. I think his floor is still good. So I'm actually really excited for this. I don't know how many more classics Tanahashi has in him necessarily, but I don't know. You never doubt the great ones, right? Like he's special. Look at last year's match from Moxley. He got the people to want him to win that match. It was an incredible moment. So I'm kind of bullish on this. Max is going to win, but I just have this feeling this might be something special. I really hope so.
I'm actually very high on this matchup.
Good.
I think that this is the perfect opponent for MJF because I said before the first Forbidden Door, if MJF was on that card, this is the guy he faces. Because if there's like a guy who just is a diehard heel from AEW, it's MJF. And if there's anybody who's a diehard babyface from NJPW, it's Tanahashi. So I thought it worked in that case. Then you also got the young guy versus the old guy. I think there's going to be very old school. And like you said, Hiroshi Tanahashi just knows how to grip the crowd with his selling. And I think his selling is going to be the key to this matchup. I also think the selling of MJF, who does a great job of selling his knee, will be excellent against the dragon screw from Tanahashi. So he's going to dragon screw his leg off, and MJF is going to sell the shit out of that. It's going to be great. But of course, MJF gets the victory in this one. Jay News, who you got?
Man, so we all know how. Well, if you don't know, I'll say this briefly. I've had my concerns, much like Joe said, about Tana holding up physically, right? Even on True Heel Heat before, I said that Tana needs to drop some weight, and not because he's fat, but at the end of the day, it might just better his mobility overall, just coming from a health and fitness standpoint. But with that being said, I will never ever discount the fact that Tanahashi is one of those professional wrestlers that, like SP3 said, grips the crowd when he gets in that ring. His ability to sell, his ability to get the fans on his side, his ability to just champion, him against the world type thing. You know what I'm saying? And in this estimation with MJF, with all the freaking blubbering that he does, all the talking that he does, MJF is a student of professional wrestling. He knows he's going in there with one of the best to ever do it. And I don't think this match is going to be bad at all. I'm with Joe. I think that we might see something very special in this match. Given time, So if Tana's got it, he's got it for this match for the rest of the year. I think this is it. So
Yeah.
But MJF for the win, no doubt, because Tana's not going to beat him for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. But yeah, I think if Tana's going to put it all on the mat, it'll be for this match. And yeah, man, he's going to be the representation. He's still the representation of New Japan Pro Wrestling, even without a strap. So yeah, I expect good things from this match.
NK.
Yeah, I think I probably might be the lowest on this match. Listen, I love Uncle Tanahashi, like giving me some of the greatest moments in professional wrestling. But just watching him throughout this entire year has been
tough.
Hard at times.
It's been tough,
and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Like, when I saw this match, I was like I said, if this was 2 years ago, 2015, maybe, but I don't know. But then, do you know what match comes into mind when I think of the ultimate babyface performance? That G1 Climax final against Ibushi. And if you look at Tanahashi's work, it was far from the most dynamic performance in ring, but the emotion. And I'm like, only Tanahashi's capable of giving us that. But his body was slightly broken back then. It's even worse right now. I don't Tanahashi's is probably one of the best minds in wrestling right now. So I don't doubt him planning out the match would be excellent. But it's just can his body hold up to what his mind wants?
Right.
That's the question of this match. So it's a match where I'm looking at it and I don't know what to think. It's between excitement and fear. Because even though Tanahashi's body's breaking, I don't think the match will be bad. But it's Tanahashi versus MJF. But in saying that as well, I think MJF stylistically is probably the best person to go up with AEW, because MJF is an athletic person, but doesn't rely on his athleticism. A lot of the stuff in this match is very well thought out and meticulous. And that's somebody that Tanahashi in this stage of his career can work with well. I don't know. It's a big question mark for me. Of course, MJF is going to win the match. But in terms of the quality of the match, I don't know. I'm just going to be watching the match with my eyes between my fingers like this.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here.
I will say it's very Tanahashi that we're having this conversation, and he has decided that he's going to wrestle on Saturday against Swerve too, because
I'm like, what is he doing? Back to back, Tanahashi. Oh my god!
He's scheduled.
I'm really looking forward to that match too.
Yeah,
I'm looking
absolutely. Yeah, I do have to ask, because I had to briefly step away. Did I pop the crowd at all with that Dax Harwood photo gimmick I just dropped there off the camera? Did this not get any responses?
That's
look
crazy.
At this, man. Look at this.
Crazy.
That popped the hell out of me.
Okay, I was hoping so. I had to step away. I thought, damn it, I missed the crowd reaction. It's like a high spot I go to now. Whenever I have to, I'm like, there's at least I can keep the people going,
I do mine with Austin Reeves. Don't worry. And Romeo saying in the chat, y'all higher on Kojima than Tanahashi. Kojima looks like he's in better shape than Tanahashi. That's the thing.
Too.
Yeah, it's different.
If Tanahashi was going to do a 10-minute match with Punk, he'll be fine. I think the concern is that Max and him are going to try and have an epic, right? Can he do that kind of match? I think more than anything, but we'll see. Hopefully he can.
Yeah. And Vala B kind of putting that into perspective, saying because Kojima worked a much safer style his entire life. That's another. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we got Joseph saying he is the ace for a reason. And he says, I was live at last year's Forbidden Door and Tanahashi pulled a great match out of Moxley. Oh, come on. I think it was both of them had a great match. Not pull a great match out of Moxley.
Let's respect real Graps Moxley. Let's respect real Graps Moxley.
I will say the Tanahashi, he's where he's at physically, is a lot. You can romanticize it, and you can kind of do the thing he's just, he's an old soldier. He's out there battling for it. When you see him in person, you go, "Fuck, he really is feeling it's not, it's some of these things get overstated. Guys fighting for injury stuff. I saw him at Royal Quest. I've seen him through the years, so it was even more strange. When I saw him at Royal Quest, he was trying to go up the top rope to do his finish, and he took him minutes. I feel like to get up there. It was brutal, man.
When he goes up for the high fly foe, he wants to get his feet right. Like,
and I saw him
So-
in 2015, so it was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, it was crazy. Yeah.
So I saw Tanahashi at the most recent Royal Quest. I have a photo of him, right? There's in the photo, he has ice packs on his knees. With the one, and I feel bad uploading the photo all the time because I'm like, damn, Tanahashi's broke. But like, and I watched him at Royal Quest. That high five flow was not high at all.
No, it was very sad. Yeah.
It was a drop. Like, and the knees, like, you know how when the frog splash, the knees didn't move. The knees didn't go up to the chest.
Yes.
It was just like it was a belly splash. It was just down.
He just had to drop at some point. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, and we know Tanahashi in the famous Tanahashi spots where he goes to the ropes and does the high five throw and says another one. I'm like, just one.
One.
And to take this full circle, NK and I, the reason we were so struck when we saw this was because he was wrestling a real pro that night because he was opposite the machine gun Carl Anderson. So you knew, if anyone was going to make him look, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's.
I knew it was coming.
That whole thing was a setup to do that. Whole thing. I'm just glad that NK was there too. He came along with me. Beautiful.
It's like a real professional here. Let's talk about the double main event, though. IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship up for grabs. Kenny Omega will defend against Will Ospreay in a rematch of what many people are considering the consensus match of the year from Wrestle Kingdom. It's really been a talk since January 4th of everybody else is second place. Like MJF and Bryan Danielson had the greatest Iron Man match of all time. And I still would put that second place to Omega and Osprey at Wrestle Kingdom. Can they match what they did on January 4th? Here on this show, and so much history between these men, with Omega feeling like Osprey was not a worthy successor to him, and New Japan still angry at Will Ospreay for injuring his best friend, his golden lover, Kota Ibushi. Osprey now is out for revenge himself after Omega bloodied, battered, bruised, and defeated him in the Tokyo Dome. So much history, years worth of storytelling goes into this one, and this time they're not in both of their second homes. They're in the home country of Kenny Omega. Can Kenny Omega stop all the distractions around him with the BCC, with Don Callis, with Konosuke Takeshita, and focus on Will Ospreay here? Or will Ospreay get revenge to even the series this year 1-1? NK, who you got? Ospreay, Omega 2.
I've got Osprey. I think the thing about this match, the thing that excites you about this match is less so about the match itself and just all the intrigue heading into the match. I feel like they've done storyline wise, they've done a great job of like interwoven Will Ospreay with Don Callis and the whole BCC saga. Like, my thing is like, the match is the match. Like, I feel like I agree with you. Like, Will Ospreay versus Omega, Wrestle Kingdom is still my match of the year, and I think they could even top that match. But what's the post-match angle gonna be if there is one? Because there's a lot up in the air, and I feel like with this match, like, I'm just excited for like the future implications this has, because the feud doesn't end here. Osprey and Omega is not ending here. It's gonna go forward, but I feel like on this pay-per-view, there's gonna be some pretty big ripple effects from this match going forward for both characters. And I'm gonna say it. I mean, I don't think it'll be this night, but there's a certain friend that Kenny hasn't seen in a while that also has heat with Will Ospreay. It's there. The pieces are there. I mean, and also his relationship with New Japan, according to reports, has mellowed out a little bit.
It has.
So, hey, we could see something. We could see like another 6-star classic and an all-timer angle. So, Hey, the excitement isn't even the words to describe my thoughts on this match. This is just, I just need it here now. Like, I'm tired of talking about it. I just want it now. Like,
tension is palpable. J News, who you got? Osprey, Omega 2.
So I'll start off by saying that the backstage segment on Wednesday night's episode of Dynamite with Will and Alex Marvez popped me, because it was the first time I remember seeing Will do a backstage segment like that, where he's coming out of his, like, it was an homage to the Tribal Chief, because he was coming out of his car and stuff like that. He ran into a freaking reporter, you know. What Will's been doing in Rev Pro, like, he's a real dickhead right now, dude. Will's just off the rocker right now with his personality. What he's been doing in Rev Pro, what he's been doing in Progress, it's just like, it's just, I'm loving it, man. Will's the freaking man. For this match, to piggyback off of what NK's saying, Will's got some heat with Kenny Omega's people, man. Outside of Kenny Omega, he's got that heat with Omega. He's got heat with this golden man that people keep on alluding to, right? And he's got heat with anybody else that he pisses off at the end of the day.
And Canada.
And Canada, exactly. He keeps freaking shit on Canada. Key here, Don Callis said that he offered Will Ospreay this top-notch security for Sunday night. Security. Will Ospreay's never needed security. So I'm wondering what and or who this security might be. So that adds to the angle. Thank God for backstage promo bits at the end of the day sometimes, right? So who wins this match? I feel somebody said it in the comments, because it's not the last match of the night. I feel Will win this match. Regaining that U.S. Heavyweight Championship or whatever the case is, but this does not end that feud at all. Where it goes from there, I don't know, but I'm fixing to find out, because this is what pro wrestling is all about. So that, my friends, is my take on that.
Joe, who you got?
This one is really interesting, because before Wednesday, I was pretty convinced that Callis was going to be the finish of this match and help Ospreay win. But that segment on Wednesday was like, I don't know. I feel like if you were going to do that as a finish, you wouldn't make that apparent on the go home, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those weird things where, as a wrestling fan, you wonder if you're like overthinking it, because that may well just be Callis. Like, yeah, they told you, you know, like one of those deals. So maybe not. I do think Ospreay's winning though. I assume they'll do the third match back at the Tokyo Dome with my guest next January. But I'm super excited. I mean, I'm with you guys in terms of this is still my match of the year by like a distance, and it's been a great year for wrestling. There are so many great matches that fill out the rest of your top 10, but still Daylight's second for me, because that thing was like, that was an experience. I will be surprised if it's better than that, which is not a critique as much as it is a credit to that match they had, because I just think it's going to be hard on this show to pop the way it did there. Also, in fear of repeating myself in terms of injury concerns, I will say the last couple of times I've seen him is the first times I've seen Ospreay's crazy schedule actually appear like an issue. Issue's too strong. He still looks great. The last couple of times I've seen him wrestle, you can tell that he's actually having to wrestle through stuff in a way where previously we heard about it, and then you'd see him in the ring and he would look flawless, right? All of his stuff looked perfect still. And so I do hope he's feeling physically ready to do this. He's wrestling on Rampage every week, because of course he is. That's what Will Ospreay does. I mean, you'll hear stories about his body, and the next thing you know, see a poster of him wrestling Bobby Fish and Nottingham or whatever, and it's like, I mean, you do you, Brian, not me doing me. So hopefully he's feeling fresh and ready to go, because this match has, you know, the potential to be another classic. Honestly, the floor for this is great. So can't wait to see it. Going to take Ospreay. The means, I will say Callis, but I'm not thrilled with my own prediction. It don't feel quite right, you know? Not sure.
I think that this is by far the most unpredictable result of this show, because it can go either way and still set up the third matchup here. Yeah. Because you can play it all where Ospreay wins, they go 1-1, but Callis or Takeshita gets involved, so that's the reason why Omega lost, and Ospreay's not happy with that. But I am going with Ospreay being in the position of John Cena at Money in the Bank 2011, where Takeshita and Callis want to help him, but he refuses to help. He wants to be Omega on his own, and that costs him, and Omega wins. I'm going with Omega to win, and then Osprey saying that he wants it all on the line at All In his home country of the UK, career versus title in the third match, Osprey Omega 3.
Career
And the
versus title.
He's been saying the whole, if you listen to his promos this whole time, he's saying that he feels that he needs this win for his career. So if he can't beat Kenny Omega, he will call it a career.
Right.
That
No,
it
but
makes sense with all of the promos he's done that he would put his career on the line.
I comprehend that part of it, but from a timeline standpoint, his actual contract doesn't expire until next year. So to leave it with a cliffhanger is like it makes sense for him to do it at Wrestle Kingdom instead of All In, because we're going to see Will Ospreay wrestle for the rest of the year.
All In. Also, I don't want Ospreay to win the U.S. title here because that would mean he's not winning the G1, and I need him to win the G1 this year. So that's another reason he can't. Anytime we've all watched enough New Japan to know when someone wins a title before the G1, that means they're not winning the G1.
Right,
it doesn't matter if it's a lower tier title or not. They never win the G1.
If you are saying that you want Osprey to win the G1, then what would the Omega? How would it go into Wrestle Kingdom with Osprey and Omega if he's going to be main eventing for the title?
He's given it all up. He's given up his career. He's given up. He doesn't even deserve to main event.
He knows he doesn't make no damn sense.
Wrestle Kingdom. He doesn't even want to main event Wrestle Kingdom. He's putting Wrestle Kingdom and his career on the line in his home country of the UK. Put it all on the line.
Oh man!
I'll take the part about them wrestling in the UK. I'm more than happy with that. I don't know about the rest of the picture. We have to look at the finer details. We'll revisit.
And I also agree with Vala B. If it's not Osprey winning,
Naito,
it's going to be Naito.
Naito
Naito makes the most sense.
Naito versus Sonata, that makes sense.
I will say there is something to, like, in the first match, Osprey was like the protagonist of that story in many ways. Kenny just came and beat the hell out of him. So there is something to, like, the idea of Osprey kind of having to me, the Osprey character is almost like he's a dick, but the way he wrestles kind of has the peel on his side organically. It's kind of just the way he performs. That was the case at the Tokyo Dome, right? Was they kind of couldn't help but root for him because he was fighting with so much heart and spirit. So that would make sense with the finish you pitch for sure. So I think the actual booking for this weekend, it made some sense. I'm not sure about the career part of it, but we'll see. Maybe so. That'd be a hell of a victory that we could take if you were right, bro. I mean, you could do like 4 shows out of that. You know, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
Addressing my enemies, the Osprey Omega saga.
Absolutely, do it. But yes, and now we got what's being billed as the main event. We heard some stuff before this week that Omega and Osprey was going to be the main event, but now we have heard on commentary during Dynamite, this is the main event. First time ever, Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Okada versus Dragon. It was Dragon who made the challenge to Okada at Dominion, saying that he's heard for 10 years, you're the best wrestler in the world. Well, when you're in the ring with me, there ain't no rain. It's a desert. It's a fucking desert. He's going to show that to the Rainmaker. Who is the best wrestler in the world? Is it Bryan Danielson or Kazuchika Okada? J News, who you got?
So, for all intents and purposes, we do understand that this is a dream match. We all get that. That is a fact of professional wrestling. Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson, a dream match. Let's talk about this build, shall we? What? What is going? What the build has had nothing for me necessarily. For me,
you don't need a build.
You don't need it because you don't need it. Right? You don't need it because all you need to do is announce it. I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to fall on that particular part of the sword. And I was like, yeah, they don't really need a build. But it's like, well, they did the build for all the other matches. Why not this one necessarily, right? And it's like when he called them out, like, so for all intents and purposes, Wednesday night comes, it's 9:50 p.m. and they still have to go to the Eddie Kingston promo part of it and go to Bryan Danielson. I was like, they're gonna give this 5 minutes? I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like,
because they're not gonna touch. They shouldn't have touched. They didn't touch. That's it. Fuck a build. Yes, this is the one matchup where I said, "Dude, fuck a build." These last 2 matches have a floor of 5 stars. Like these last 2 matches.
At the end of the day, my point is like, wait, they gave Sonata a promo, a full-fledged video promo, and then they let Jungle Jack answer that. But we get 5 minutes of Daniel on the mic. Okada comes out, they face off, and then they don't touch. And now we gotta wait till Sunday. Makes sense, but it's like I wish there was more to it. I don't know. It's just me. I'm just talking for myself. I just wish there was a little bit more to it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Just announce the match, have it. It fuck a build at the end of the day, right? But it's like I just wish there was a little bit more. I wish there was a little bit more. That's just me. Who wins here? Oh God, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who wins here. Neither man is a champ. They don't have physical belts, right? At the end of the day, this is gonna be a classic, dog. It just is. It just is. It's going to be a classic. Bona fide banger. I don't know who wins. I don't care who wins, actually. I just want to watch the match. And I'm not picking. You're not going to force me to pick.
You got to pick. Come on. That's what this whole thing is about. You got to pick. You got to make a choice.
God, I honestly, I don't know. Like, because there was no setup for it, it's like they'll run this back. So I say Okada wins.
I got Okada winning this one. I think that this needs to have like 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
25 to 30 minutes. Give us an all-timer, but I got Okada winning. And I love the fact that they put Bryan Danielson in a bubble since Revolution for this one matchup. NK, who you got? Okada or Dragon?
Listen, this match right here is the stuff of dreams. Like, this is like, we're gonna see Forbidden Door continue, but I don't think we're gonna reach the magnitude of like dream match, because like I will go on a bit of a tirade, so bear with me. But I never like the Bryan Danielson in WWE, Daniel Bryan, right? Great, had a excellent run. The guy retired. Remember, the guy retired. Like him even coming back to WWE was like a gasp. Like, what the hell? I thought him versus Kenny Omega was like, okay, wow, we're gonna get this. Him versus like, we've literally like had like Danielson is like in a lot of people's list like one of the greatest to ever do it. And Okada, if he's not on that list, will certainly be on that people's list very soon. Mm-hmm. And Okada is arguably like the best wrestler of like the last decade, maybe. So it's literally two people. Danielson maybe towards the twilight of his career, but he's still on like a lot of people's top 5 wrestlers active right now. You've literally got two of the best in the world at the peak of their careers, wrestling for 2 different companies, and one of them's retired and we thought was never gonna wrestle again. If this doesn't scream a dream match, I don't know what this is. This is WWE 2K. This is little kids bashing their toys together dream match. I think Okada's going to win. Simply because I feel Danielson at this stage of career isn't afraid of taking a job. And I feel like even though Tony Khan's very protective of like AEW talent, if there's anybody on that New Japan roster, Tony Khan is going to let pin his top stars. It's Okada. We saw that hug. Yes. We saw that hug. If there's anybody on the New Japan roster that Tony Khan would allow to pin one of his top stars, is Okada. And I feel Danielson, like there's none of these guys, there's no shame in losing. None of these guys' stock is going to be affected by losing to the other. But I feel, and plus, I think Okada's role in AEW isn't done. Because I remember when Kenny said, I'm going to Japan and I'm going to find 2 guys. He tagged with Okada this year. Now, it's far-fetched, but maybe we see Okada at Blood and Guts. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe we see Okada. Now, that would be a crazy
the G1, though. That's during the G1.
Oh, it's during the G1. Damn it. Fantasy booking ruined. But
putting on the money clip in the middle of Blood and Guts. So
that's crazy.
Working it over.
Damn it, I forgot about the G1. Okay, scrap that idea. But I do feel just like, yeah, Danielson can afford to take a loss, and he has taken losses, and in this part of his career. So for me, I'm going with Okada, but the near falls in this match are gonna get me every time. Oh my gosh. I'm just thinking of the spots like Okada. Danielson running to do a Busaiku knee and then he gets hit with a drop kick.
Drop
Like,
kick. Yeah.
It's gonna be it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be insane.
Nothing pops me more. No move pops me more than how Okada hits the drop kick. I pop every
It's
time. It
such a
doesn't matter if
momentum
it's
killer.
one drop kick,
Yes.
it's two drop kicks. I don't care if it's four drop kicks in a matchup. I remember being in Madison Square Garden at G1 Supercard. Every time he hit a drop kick, I was like, drop kick! Yes! Pops me every time. Joe, who you got in this one? What do you think about this matchup here?
I really think this not being for a belt like helps it greatly, because if this was, if Okada was the IWGP champ, like we'd all just like Brian's not winning the belt, right? But there are a lot of reasons you could talk yourself into Brian winning this. New Japan are getting the win on a lot of these bigger matches on the show. We assume anyway. There's definitely money, and I think an intention to do a rematch in Japan. I think Brian would love to do a rematch in Japan, and if that's the case, it certainly makes sense for Brian to win here, right? And there are many reasons, but you eventually reach that famous stumbling block of, does the American Dragon Bryan Danielson want to win a professional wrestling match? And no, the answer is always no. He never intends to win these matches. He'll probably be very insulted if he's asked to win this one. So I assume he'll protest greatly to ensure that he loses, as is tradition. One of the great wrestlers ever, whose only flaw is he refuses to win, which is one of my favorite quirks.
We
of
need
Dragon.
a Mount Rushmore. He would be on it. The Rock, Chris Jericho. Like, these are the guys that always want to put over everybody.
You hear this because there's stories about every top guy being the other way, and it's like with Brian, it's like, I don't want to be the champ, Tony. Please let me I want to wrestle Roosh, let me chill. So I think Okada wins, but I can't wait. I mean, everyone's mapped out perfectly. This is the ultimate dream match. Two guys with genuine, GOAT arguments. And so you just have to enjoy these moments. This match existing is a treat. I can't wait to watch it. It's gonna be great.
Probably this might be the match that can finally make us debate what the match of the year is, because we haven't debated since January 4th. But this might be the one that makes us debate it. And I totally agree with Romeo. If you want to see true happiness, come watch SP3 as he recaps this matchup on the review this Monday. You're going to see the biggest smile on my face when we get to this match here. Two of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Oh, what a match. This is going to be great. But yes, that brings us to a close here on our preview of AEW NJPW Forbidden Door. I want to thank NK, Joe, NJ News for joining me for this one. This was so much fun. Got me even more hype for the show. Did it raise you from an 8 talking about the show, J News, NK?
Yeah.
I'm spending my hard-earned money on this show. Like 3 weeks ago, I damn near forgot it was coming, and then they put the strong build in. It's like I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. It's just that I'm one of those guys who always tends to lower his expectations before the event comes, and then over deliver when the day comes. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things.
Fair. That is fair. NK, thank you so much for joining us. Please let the people know where they can follow you on social media, what you got going on, Rest Things, everywhere else. Let the people know.
Yeah, so obviously, as you can see right there, my Twitter handle is at NKPreach. You can follow me on there, and I will definitely be live tweeting during Forbidden Door. But most importantly, follow Wrestling's podcast. Me and one of my co-hosts of Revolution Radio did a breakdown of Forbidden Door, so check that out if you want to hear me talk more about Forbidden Door. We've got our weekly flagship podcast that just released today. So check that out. We've also got Indie Takers, hosted by Delboy and Gem, that comes out, I believe, every Thursday. But yeah, stay tuned to Restings, and also if you want to hear me talk more New Japan with SP3, check out Ace Techers on Wrestling audio only podcast. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. Doing great things. Another man doing great things. Our AEW pay-per-view preview correspondent, Joe Hulbert. Joey Bing Bong, as he says
Indeed.
right here. Please let the people know where they
Bing
can follow
bong.
you, sir.
Well, first I want to apologise for that jump scare. I'm going to do something very different here this evening. I'm not going to promote myself. I'm going to actually start a campaign. A year ago, on the Forbidden Door preview show on this very platform here of True Heel Heat, a certain Will Washington was on the program.
Yes, he was.
And so I think we could start a tradition of some sort. And so what I am suggesting is that in around 10 or 11 months' time, I'm brought on board as part of AEW Creative officially. Then the following year, maybe NK can take it, and we keep building on this. And this could be and now let me, folks, I'm not being selfish here. I'm just trying to build a tradition that we can kind of make something to celebrate. So I'm officially making myself available for that position. Specifically, Collision, I think, would be my kind of strong suit, and I would argue I'm already booking it. And in some ways, I think I'm already kind of on the team. So I would like to kind of be more formally paid for these services. So yeah, I'm making myself available here. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Hulbert. Will, you already follow me, bro. You can just DM. That's what they can't do. We're mutual. So I'll be seeing you in a gorilla position soon, folks. That's where I'll be at. So that's my statement. That's what I have to say as a campaign. We're getting underway.
I love it.
Jeff Jarrett has competition for Carney of the Year. That was crazy.
I've had that plan for a week.
That was awesome.
Hilarious. Sorry, that was hilarious. Because Joel's been tweeting on Twitter every week. Joel Hubert Promotions. I'm thinking, where's this going? Finally, I get it now. I get it.
The thing you have to understand about my bits, NK, is I never explain them. And I assume everyone who follows me has been aware of me for 4 years. So I just continue to do the same bits. So I've been doing the Joe Hulbert promotion thing since like the start. And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know, man. I'm just doing my bit, What do you want from me? I'm just popping myself here. I don't know. There's no payoff to these things,
Oh,
funny enough, I found this. I still have it uploaded. This is going to be the future AEW Collision team right here. AEW Collision team. Right? We're gonna have Romeo redo this in the middle. It's gonna be AEW Collision creative team.
Let's sit down. Let's talk some Samoa Joe. Let's talk some Roddy Strong. Some thing, let's talk graps, fellas. We have some creative to be getting to. We have some Saturday Night Wrestling to book, so I'm ready to go. Fired up.
J News. I don't know how you follow that, but let the people know where they can follow you, sir.
No. Today's been one of those days where my takes have been kind of on the mundane side, and I'm okay with that. I don't always have to steal the spotlight and stuff like that. I'll say this, man, to quote a man. Oh, Jesus Christ. Joe, brother, you live in the gimmick. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Gotta love it, man. Anyways, as always, folks, you can always check me out on the Instagram _JONJY. As I always say, I like to interact with the peoples. Tag me on stuff, comment, do whatever. You can always catch me right here on True Heel Heat on a semi-weekly, bi-weekly basis whenever New Japan is on. As you guys know, me and SP3 will be back for this Forbidden Door review on Monday. Come around the same time. Be available, folks. We're going to break it all down, analyze it. We're probably going to fangirl about it just because it's probably going to be one of the best shows we've ever seen. So that's that part of it. And yeah, appreciate everybody being on the panel today. Back from hiatus. And finna do this thing, man, SP3, because at the end of the day, Forbidden Door is just starting my entire next 2 months because I'll be a busy boy.
Yes, because we're going to need you for a Forbidden Door review on Monday. We got Independence Day coming out after that. We got to preview that, review that. So, yes, you'll be seeing J News up on here. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at True Hill Heat. You can join us over at patreon.com/True Hill Heat for $3 a month, or you can become a member of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel for $1 a month. Always appreciate the love, like Joseph with it in the chat, who says this has been the best Forbidden Door prediction show I have watched yet. What a great foursome of thought. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yes. And yes, get your sleep because G1 season is coming up and we're going to enjoy all of it. And check out all the great stuff on the channel right now, like AE Ramble from yesterday with me and Jimmy reviewing AEW Dynamite from this week with the Okada and Bryan confrontation. And join us live on Sunday for our AEW NJPW Forbidden Door watch party. And I'll be back on the channel tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time with the True Hill Heat Flagship podcast. But for NK, for Joe, for J News, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our Forbidden Door 2 preview. We are signing off until next time.